We're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the Zaporozhye direction where the Russians continue their offensive operation. And as we discussed during the previous videos, the Russians were about to capture the settlement of Uspenovka. And this morning we received the first video. So this is the video I'm talking about. And here we can see how Russian soldiers were attacking the settlement of Uspenovka from different sides. This is not the video where we can see how Russians managed to establish complete control over the territory. During this video we might see just the clashes and possible positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation in Ukraine across the settlement by the name of Uspenovka. So in this video, in the final episode, we can see two Russian soldiers that were entering the farms that were located in the southwestern part of the city of Uspenovka. So if we go back to map, this is exactly the construction that the Russians entered. So based on this video, we came to the conclusion that the Russians managed to secure completely the central part, the eastern part, and the southeastern part of the settlement by the name of Uspenovka. So this is the situation, for example, on the ground by the end of the 30th of October of 2025, and this is approximately the moment when the Russians launched their offensive operation. And starting of that date, we were adjusting the map every single day. Almost every single day, we were coloring the territory of Uspenovka and the complete Russian control. And by the beginning of the 7th of November of 2025, we have already colored, as you can see, more than probably 80% of the settlement, and it seems that Ukrainians controlled just the northern and the northwestern parts of the settlement. Furthermore, several pro-Russian resources reported that as a result of clashes, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to improve their positions around the settlements of Privolne and Uspenovka and to enter the eastern outskirts of the settlement of Solotka. So we believe that during the next 48 hours, the Russians will capture the settlement of Uspenovka completely. We will color this territory under Russian control, and most likely this information would be also confirmed by the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation. So the last fortified area in front of the city by the name of Gulai Pole is about to be captured by Russians, and after the end of the battle for the settlement of Uspenovka, most likely the Russians will intensify their offensive operation, and Russians will continue advancing further in the southwestern direction, in the western direction towards the city of Gulai Pole. And the battle for this settlement will start most likely at early January of 2026. Furthermore, according to information we have, the Russians improved their position significantly in the northern flank of the Zaporozhye offensive. Currently, the Russians are advancing in the direction of the villages of Danilovka, Vodradne, and Gai. Maybe we're going to get some updates from this territory also in coming days. Now let's move further. Let's discuss the situation in the Novopavlovka direction. During the previous 12 hours, as you can see, we received small changes. So this is the map by the end of the 6th of November of 2025, and this is the map by the beginning. We have adjusted the farms to the north of the settlement of Ivanovka based on the video that was published by pro-Ukrainian sources. Here we can see how Ukrainians were attacking this territory, how Ukrainians were counter-attacking, how Ukrainians were bombing positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. Based on this video, we came to the conclusion that these farms were taken by Russians and Ukrainians were trying to counterattack, but those attacks were repelled. Furthermore, some pro-Russian sources adjusted their maps in the southern part of the settlement of Novopavlovka. The Russians slowly but advancing further and further in the northern direction. There is still a lot of job ahead of Russians, but it seems that the southern part and the part that was located on the Russian side of the river of Solona would be taken by Russians in coming week. Now let's discuss the situation in the city of Pokrovsk. During the previous 12 hours, we received lots of very interesting and very important updates. So as you can see, the map has been changed, and this is the situation that you can see right now in front of your screens. This is the situation by the beginning of the 7th of November. This is the situation by the end of the 6th of November, and as you can see, the changes are very huge. Furthermore, we have reports that the Russians are about to take under complete control the settlement by the name of Rivno. At least this village was was already captured by Russians in pincers. So, furthermore, several pro-Russian sources have already adjusted their maps, telling us that the village of Rivno is partially under complete control of Russian Federation. So, what do we have from this area? During the previous 12 hours, pro-Ukrainian sources published 2 videos where we can see lots of episodes how Ukrainians were attacking Russians across the city of Pokrovsk and main logistic lines. There are lots of episodes, as you can see, and one of these episodes was geolocated exactly at this point. Another video was published from the most northern part of the settlement. Here we can see, let's say, intersection of roads and how Ukrainians were attacking Russians there. So based on these 2 videos, we have adjusted the map and we see that the battle for the city of Pokrovsk is coming to its logical end. Despite messages and statements that were made by Ukrainians, we see that the situation cannot be changed and that everything is coming to the end. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Kupiansk direction. During the previous 12 hours, additional changes on the ground were also recorded in the northern part of the settlement. This information was provided by pro-Russian sources. So this is the situation by the end of the 6th of November. This is the situation by the beginning of the 7th of November. As you can see, the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to establish complete control over the northern part of the city of Kupiansk, over its industrial zone. So the battle for these territories also coming to an end. Furthermore, I would like to point to attention that, for example, yesterday, several commanders on the ground made a very interesting statements. Kupiansk will be liberated within the next week, according to the commander of the assault detachment of the West group of forces called Lavnik. The Zapad group took under control 25 buildings in Kupiansk in the past 24 hours. Russian troops are advancing along the right bank of the river Voskol in Kupiansk with approximately 130 buildings remaining to be taken. The Ukrainian armed forces continue their attempts to lift the siege of the Kupiansk. So, as you can see, and according to a lot of commanders on the ground who are responsible for the Kupiansk offensive operation, it seems that within the next 5 days, the city of Kupiansk would be captured by the armed forces of the Russian Federation. As it was said by the commander, the Ukrainians are trying to unblock the city by sending more and more vehicles and troops in the direction of the city, but the Russians yet have repelled every single attack that was carried out by Ukrainians. As for the city of Volchansk, the Russians also intensified their offensive operation. During the previous 12 hours, additional changes were also recorded in the most southern part. So in this video that was published by Ukrainian sources, we can see how Russians were attacking buildings in this part of the city of Volchansk. And based on this video, based on these episodes, the map has been adjusted. So the clashes were taking place exactly in this area. So once again, this is the situation by the end of the 6th of November. This is the situation by the end of the 7th. So as you can see, the Russians are moving or continue moving further in direction of the central and the eastern parts of the city of Volchansk. And due to the fact that the city of Volchansk is not something similar like Pokrovsk or Kupiansk, it's much smaller. We believe that the city could be, let's say, taken by Russians completely, probably by the end of the next week, and this is most likely what is going to happen. At the same time, the Ukrainians are trying to prepare their positions further to the south on the territory of the village of Volcha, and after the battle for Volchansk, the Russians will continue offensive operation there as well. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds you condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.